All right, let's talk about mental clarity. I mean, in a world that feels noisier than ever, right? How do you even find focus? Well, today we're going to dive into some surprisingly simple ways to do exactly that.
You know that feeling? Where your brain feels like it's running a dozen programs at once? It just leaves you feeling so scattered, so fatigued. If you're trying to find that one clear signal through all that static, trust me, you are definitely not alone.
So when we get overwhelmed, what's our first instinct? It's always to add something, right? A new productivity app, another cup of coffee, some super complex new system. But what if the answer isn't about adding more at all? What if the real secret is actually about taking things away?
Okay, so let's dive right into this, and we're going to start by challenging a really common belief, one that kind of gets in our way. Let's call it the mental clarity myth. So, let's get on the same page about what mental clarity even means. It's not about becoming some kind of machine that can juggle a million tasks at once. No way. It's actually the complete opposite. It's that state where your brain is just working smoothly because you've gotten rid of all that mental noise. And you know, this becomes even more crucial as we get older. All right, so if the goal is to reduce all this noise, how do we actually do it? And more importantly, how do we do it without it feeling like just another thing on the to-do list? Well, the solution is surprisingly elegant. It all comes down to the power of micro-habits. So what exactly is a micro-habit? Let's define it. It's just a simple, repeatable behavior that is so small it takes almost zero effort to do. The entire point is to lower your cognitive load. That's just a fancy way of saying the amount of mental energy you're spending, so you can actually improve your focus. And the science behind why this works is actually pretty cool. See, our brains are just wired for simplicity. They love it. When an action is easy, we're way more likely to repeat it. And that repetition, well, it creates a kind of mental shortcut. That's what reduces fatigue and boosts both our accuracy and our focus. It just works.
Okay, so we get the what and the why. Now for the fun part, the how. Let's put together your own personal clarity toolkit with some seriously powerful and totally doable habits. First things first, we have to talk about the myth of multitasking. We all think we're being super efficient, right? But what's really happening is we're just shattering our attention into tiny little pieces. And that just skyrockets our fatigue and absolutely tanks our accuracy. The simple switch to doing one thing at a time, it does the exact opposite. It's a game changer.
So we can actually build a system to support our brain. And really, it all boils down to these 4 powerful but super simple micro-habits. Let's break them down one by one.
Okay, let's start with hydration. And I know, it sounds almost too obvious, but the impact is absolutely massive. Get this, research shows that even being just a little bit dehydrated can mess with your attention span and your memory. So just keeping a glass of water nearby, it's literally one of the easiest brain boosters on the planet. All right, next up, gentle movement. And look, we are not talking about running a marathon here. A simple, short walk can do wonders. And why is that? Well, it's just pure biology. Walking gets your blood flowing, and you can think of that blood flow like a superhighway, delivering all this amazing oxygen and nutrients straight to your brain. And that's what helps you think more clearly and feel more alert. And finally, this one's huge. It's about turning down the volume on the world around you. When you limit all that constant background noise, you turn off the TV you're not watching, you put down the phone for a bit, you're actually giving your brain the quiet space it needs to process things calmly instead of just constantly reacting to the next notification, the next sound, the next thing.
So all of these habits, they're really pointing towards something bigger, a more profound idea. And this brings us to our final and maybe the most important point of all. Support, don't pressure.
This right here, this is the core message of everything we've just talked about. Our brains perform at their absolute best, not when we're trying to force them or pressure them to work harder, but when we just create the right conditions to support how they naturally work. It's a huge shift in how you think about it, right?
So the ultimate takeaway here is this. The goal is not to hack your brain. It's to create an environment for it. An environment built with these small, supportive habits where your brain can just thrive. It's all about working with your biology, not fighting against it. So as we wrap things up, I want to leave you with a question. And forget about trying to change your entire life tomorrow. That's too much pressure. Just think about this. What is one tiny, small thing you can do today, right now, to give your brain just a little more support? We live in this always-on, hyper-connected world, right? It feels like we're just expected to be switched on 24/7. But what if that constant push to focus is actually making us, well, worse at our jobs? Today, we're going to dig into the science of why your brain is practically screaming for a break.
You know that feeling? You're deep into a task, totally in the zone, and then poof, it's gone. Suddenly you're just staring at the screen, reading the same line for the 10th time, and your focus has completely evaporated. If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. And there's a really good reason that happens.
This brings us to a huge misunderstanding in our culture today. The myth of non-stop focus. We kind of treat our brains like computers, expecting them to just run and run and run without ever needing to shut down. But the thing is, they're not silicon chips, they're biological.
And that's the absolute core of it, right here. Your brain is simply not built for continuous, high-intensity focus. It's just a biological fact. Trying to push it to perform like a machine literally goes against its own nature.
So, what's the big deal? What actually happens when we ignore that biological rule and just try to power through? Well, when your brain gets overloaded, it has a very specific and pretty predictable way of reacting.
It all starts the moment you decide to just keep pushing. When you force that continuous mental effort, you kick off this little domino effect inside your body. Let's follow that chain reaction.
First, that constant mental strain triggers your body's stress response. It starts pumping out cortisol, that main stress hormone. Think of it like your body's fire alarm. It is not meant to be blaring all day long. And the result of that?
And here is the real kicker, the irony of it all. The very act of trying to focus for too long is the thing that absolutely tanks your ability to concentrate. You end up working directly against your own goal. It's wild.
And this brain fog, it doesn't just stay in your head. Oh no. It shows up as snapping at your coworkers, that deep kind of mental fatigue that no amount of coffee can seem to fix. And it even leads to making some pretty bad calls on stuff that's actually important.
Okay, but the good news? The solution is incredibly simple. You don't need some complex technique or an expensive app. It's all about embracing the power of the pause. Just understanding how a quick little break can completely reset your entire system.
The science on this is absolutely clear. Taking short, simple breaks has been proven to restore your attention. But even more important, it can stop that mental overload from ever even happening. It's all about being proactive with your brain, not just trying to fix it when it breaks.
So what is actually going on in your brain during one of these little breaks? Well, you're firing up this really powerful and honestly fascinating system called your default mode network.
The default mode network, or DMN, is basically your brain's idle mode. It's this whole collection of brain regions that just lights up when you stop focusing on a task and just let your mind wander. You can think of it as your brain's internal maintenance crew clocking in for a shift.
So while it might feel like you're doing absolutely nothing, your brain is actually incredibly busy. When that DMN is humming along, it's organizing your memories, it's making new creative connections, and it's even helping to get your emotions in check. This isn't downtime, it's a super productive kind of rest.
And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most crucial point of all this. We really have to completely change how we think about taking a break. Rest is not a sign of weakness, and it's definitely not wasted time. It's a fundamental part of having a healthy, high-performing brain.
So how do you do it? It's almost laughably easy. You don't need a 30-minute nap. Seriously, just stand up from your desk, do a quick stretch, gaze out a window for 60 seconds, or just take 3 slow, deep breaths. That's it. That's all it takes to hit the reset button.
And the benefits, they're not just all in your head. These tiny little pauses have a direct physical impact. They help regulate your heart rate and release all that physical tension that builds up from sitting and staring at a screen for hours. It's a full mind and body reset.
If you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. Rest isn't a luxury. It's not something you get to do after you've earned it. It is a non-negotiable biological requirement for your brain to be healthy and to just, work properly.
So the real question isn't if you should take a break, it's how you're going to do it. Whether it's just looking out a window for a minute or taking one single deep breath. Think about it. How are you going to give your brain what it needs and hit that reset button today?